Kuzongpo, I'm Pratima Rai, and welcome to e-learning program. This lesson targets class 9 and 10 students, key stage 4. And in this lesson, we'll be discussing how to write a concluding paragraph and also provide title for an expository essay. The objectives are you should be able to construct a closure or concluding paragraph of an essay, and also you should be able to provide or write a title for your essay. And we have one extra activity on body paragraph, and you should be able to complete those activities. Let's have a very brief revision on our previous lesson. So our previous lesson was on thesis statement and body paragraphs. Your first question, what does thesis statement consist of? And your think time starts now. Okay, so I hope you remember the compass, and then I'm sure you must have also thought of subject and direction. So when you write a thesis statement, it's important for you to mention subject. Subject here refers to the specific idea, and direction. Direction here refers to the three main points that you list in your thesis statement. So that is how you construct thesis statement. So your next question is, what are the features of a body paragraph? And your time starts now. Okay, right. So these are the components of a body paragraph. It comprises of topic sentence with one of the points from your thesis statement, and then you either define or elaborate or explain, and then after having done that, you provide sources or evidence to support your claim, and then you have your concluding sentence, and that's your body paragraph. This is the activity on body paragraph. So my teaching experience has taught me that when I provide my students to critique a sample body paragraph, okay, for this matter, understanding level of the students actually becomes better. So this is the very reason why I have this extra activity in this lesson. So please read the sample essay that I will be providing. The sample essay's title is a Good Leader, and the thesis the child has written is, to be a good leader, one should be compassionate, helpful, and respectful. So on this is your paragraph. Please go through it. Right, so I hope you went through this sample essay. Now this is your question. Provide positive and constructive comments on this paragraph. So constructive here refers to the negative comments. Now let's recollect the components of a body paragraph and then start working on it. So the thesis is compassionate, helpful, and respectful. So let's look at the first sentence of this paragraph. To get name and fame, a leader should be hardworking, and if he or she doesn't do the work sincerely, one cannot be called as a good leader. So what did you find here? Can it be called a topic sentence? It does look like a topic sentence. It's the first sentence of this body paragraph, but what's missing? One of the points, remember, the topic sentence should contain, should incorporate or include one of the main points from the thesis statement. Three main points of the thesis statement were compassionate, helpful, and respectful. Do we see any one of them in this topic sentence? We don't. This is a common mistake when we are beginner writers. So I hope you're reminded that when you write your first sentence, topic sentence, it should have one of the points from your thesis statement. And then this paragraph lacks in this manner. So now let's look at this second sentence. Once they are appointed as a leader, one should not be selfish. Then only one would be happy and enjoy the post too. Okay, so let's assume that hardworking was one of the points mentioned in the thesis statement. If hardworking was one of the points in the thesis statement, and if that first sentence is a topic sentence, do you think the second sentence is actually supporting the claim or the information or whatever the main idea that the writer has chosen to write in the topic sentence? Again, no. Because second sentence is presenting new idea instead of supporting whatever was said earlier. And this should not be done. Okay, so let's go further down. Instead, one should be studying hard to acquire general knowledge or take up the responsibility sincerely and should have work plan in order to do more work and also to do work in time as per the schedule. So seems like the third sentence here, in some manner, somehow, it is supporting the main idea presented in the topic sentence. Let's go further down. It says, as a leader, if he or she works like this, then all will appreciate and consider them as a good leader. So one should work hard as a good leader. Now, if we look at the last sentence, the concluding sentence, it says, so one should work hard as a good leader. And let's go back to the first sentence. It says, to get name and fame, a leader should be hardworking, and if he or she doesn't do the work sincerely, one cannot be called as a good leader. Seems like the concluding sentence is well constructed or well developed because it refers back to the point, to the main point mentioned in the topic sentence. So I have here the answer. This is how you would have provided positive and constructive comments. I'm sure your positive comments are, concluding paragraph is well written, third person point of view is used. If you remember, nowhere in that paragraph did the child say I feel or we or our or us. So throughout, third person point of view was there. But the constructive comments are sadly more in number. So it says like topic sentence does not contain one of the main ideas written in the thesis statement. Okay, major setback of the body paragraph. 2. Supporting sentences instead of supporting the main idea mentioned in the topic sentence presents new idea. This shouldn't be done at all. So it does not follow one paragraph, one idea rule. Then, no facts and figures with relevant sources are cited in this paragraph to validate any of the ideas mentioned. Remember, in an expository essay, it's very important to validate the information that you provide. So you have to have sources and evidence, and it's not done in that body paragraph. So with this, I hope and I really pray that you have come to better understanding on how to write a body paragraph. Then this is the very popular question that my students ask, and then this: how do we cite authentic and reliable sources during exams? The marker who is evaluating your paper knows very well that that essay was written within the confines of the four walls in the exam hall, and then you will not be given any references. So just make it up, but sensibly. Use your common sense and then make up the sources and then use them. You will be fine. Okay, so conclusion. Yes, conclusion means coming to an end or bringing your essay to an end. But when you conclude or when you bring your essay to an end, it has to be done in a very meaningful manner, in a very memorable manner. Because remember, this is the last chance for you to make your final impression on your reader. And then there are ways to do this, because concluding paragraph also has its own features and structures, and these are the features and structures. You need to restate the thesis statement, and then you can summarize the main points or the highlights of that body paragraph, whatever information you have, the significant points you have mentioned in your body paragraph, those can be summarized. Very important, please include concluding remarks. So concluding remarks here would refer to the recommendations or the suggestion or the wake-up calls, even those things. So include them in your concluding paragraph. Always avoid new idea. Please do not incorporate new idea because you don't have any more space there to expand or elaborate on the new idea. So avoid new idea, right? So with this is the sample that we have again on the forest fire. So remember, we know the thesis very well. We went through those body paragraphs as well. So I hope you will be able to follow the concluding paragraph that child has written here. So let's see how she starts. She says therefore. So words like therefore and thus helps us to summarize. So this is exactly what she is doing. She says like therefore forest fire is one of the greatest worries of the government of Bhutan as it invites a lot of problems. It not only changes the climatic patterns but has also led to human wildlife conflict and global warming. So let's look at this. Sentence number 2. Does it sound very familiar? Yes, because it's restating the thesis statement. So the child here decided to restate her thesis statement very early in the concluding paragraph, and this is recommended. You can do it. Please do remember that when you restate your thesis statement in your concluding paragraph, please do not be very repetitive. Try and frame it differently. And let's look at the third sentence now. The Forest Department of Bhutan states that every year 10,000 acres of forest in Bhutan is burnt down by the forest fire due to the carelessness of the people despite frequent awareness campaigns conducted by the government. It has thus become very important for the Bhutanese to realize the responsibility of minimizing forest fires by being very alert and responsible citizens of the country. Let's look at the last line. Do you think there is some kind of reminder for the readers? Do you think it's a wake-up call for us? Because the author says it's time for the Bhutanese to realize the responsibility of minimizing forest fire and being a very responsible citizen of the country, because forest fire causes a lot of damages to the resources of Bhutan every year. So that's the wake-up call. It could be a reminder. So this was an example on concluding paragraph. It may not be a perfect example, but I think it's good enough. So next, writing title. So title writing is, I think, quite easy. Many students get it right, except for the 3 rules we forget, or maybe we are ignorant of it. That's when we get our title written wrongly. Okay, let's look at this first example. This is also from our sample essay, Forest Fire. So explain how forest fire causes disturbances in a nation. And the title the child has written for this essay is Forest Fire. So if you look at this question closely, forest fire is already there in the question. It appears as one of the keywords. So forest fires is there. So she did away with the word S and then wrote forest fire. And it's an apt title for that essay because remember, the whole essay talked about forest fire. Although not much of the hard work or effort was put in by the child to come up with this title, but it's still correct and it's still apt. So there's one way to find or think of title for your essay. That's identifying keywords from the question. Now let's go on to the next question. It says, write about a person who you admire and love very much. Mention the reasons or qualities that you adore in him or her. So this was another sample essay that we looked at, and it was a descriptive essay, and the title the child provided is My Diamond-Like Best Friend. So what has the child done here? I think he worked hard, he became quite creative, and then he used figures of speech and then wrote My Diamond-Like Best Friend. These are some ways to write title. Now let us come to the rules. Right? So we have just 3 rules here. The first rule says always capitalize the first letter of the first word as well as all the nouns, pronouns, verbs, adverbs and adjectives. So that's the first rule. All of us know that it is mandatory to capitalize the first letter of the first word. Besides that, you also need to capitalize first nouns and pronouns. So how do I help my students? I said like nouns and pronouns. So pronouns will substitute nouns. So if you remember nouns, remember pronouns. Very easy to remember. And then next is verbs and adverbs. So what does the adverbs do? It qualifies verbs. So verbs and adverbs, very easy to remember. And adjective. Yes, adjectives, I think it's everybody's favorite, all-time favorite. Beautiful girl. So beautiful is adjective. So, like that's how you remember this. So always capitalize these things. And rule number 2, do not capitalize articles. Articles, very easy to remember, A and D. And then we say conjunctions. But when it comes to conjunctions, yes, it's quite, it becomes quite tricky. Because we have 2 types of conjunctions. We have coordinating conjunctions and correlative conjunctions. So, students usually have problem here. But, acronym helps to remember coordinating conjunctions, very easily. And I'll show you the acronym for coordinating conjunction shortly. When it comes to correlative conjunctions, this correlative conjunction is not frequently used by students to, write titles. So, you don't, let's not worry much on this, about this correlative conjunction. And then the next is prepositions. So that's one thing that you have to capture. You are not supposed to capitalize when you're writing your titles. The third rule is capitalize both elements of spelled out numbers and small fractions. So with examples, the examples that follows will help us to understand this better. So example number 1 says always capitalize nouns, pronouns, verbs, adverbs and adjectives. So in this case, kingdom is noun and happiness is noun. That's why they are capitalized. And then in the second title you see nurturing, green. Green is adjective, school is noun, and then of course adjective and Bhutan is noun. So this is the reason why they are capitalized. Then example number 2 says do not capitalize articles, conjunctions and prepositions. So if you look at this title, standards for the nation, you see like for is preposition and the is article, so they are not capitalized. And then second title says honoring life, light and learning, and is conjunctions. That's the reason why it's not capitalized. Then we have acronyms for coordinating conjunctions, and the acronym fanboys will help you remember this. So F stands for and A for and then N for nor, then we have B for but, and O for or, and Y for yet, and S for so. So if you remember fanboys, coordinating conjunction can be remembered very easily, and always remember not to capitalize them. Okay. The last one, capitalize both elements of spelled out numbers and small fractions. So word 21 here is not written in figure 2 and 1, but it's 21. This is the reason why we have T and O capitalized. So I hope it's clear. So the very last activity for this lesson, how will you rewrite the following titles correctly? So we have 3 questions here. Go through them and then write down your answers. Your time starts now. Right, your time is up, and this is the answer. So it says like my favorite book. So in the answer you have this letter F capitalized because it's adjective, and B is noun, so it's capitalized. And in your second answer you see benefits of. O is not capitalized, because it's a preposition. And then if you go further down, the dark sides of gadgets. So the dark is again adjective, so it's capitalized, side noun, and of is not capitalized because it's preposition, and gadgets is noun again, so it's capitalized. So with this, our activity comes to an end, and we have an assignment here. So write a concluding paragraph for your essay. So, and then I have a checklist here. This checklist will help you, so kindly refer the checklist after you have finished writing your closure. With this, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed learning. Thank you.